let's start a new recording. All right, so yesterday we talked about the Scrum roles and what Scrum, the typical Scrum timeline. And we talk about the 3 roles that are in Scrum: the Scrum Master, Product Owner, Development team, which comprises of a mixture of roles. And then today, let's get into the Scrum events, which is something that happens in the Scrum that a Scrum Master should be aware of at all times. You should know the Scrum events. There are different hours allocated for each of these events. And the first Scrum event is the sprint planning, or is the sprint. Let's start with that. The first Scrum event is the sprint. Now, the sprint is like a pregnant woman that has 4 babies carrying quadruplets. Let me put it like that. That belly is like, the sprint is like a pregnant woman who has 4 babies in her. So every other Scrum or sprint Scrum event happens within a sprint. And the first Scrum event that happens is the sprint planning. The second one, I'm going to go in them in details. The second one that happens is the daily stand-up, what we just did before. 15 minutes is time box for 15 minutes. We have the daily stand-up. And then the third one is the sprint review. And then the last one is the sprint retrospective. This you should know as a Scrum Master. When you join your team and you see them working and using this word sprint planning, they will ask you interview questions. How long were your sprints? For example, I've been asked how long were my sprints, and I said every 2 weeks, right? Sometimes they'll even ask you, what day did you plan? Yeah, during interview, they'll ask you what days did you plan your sprint, were your sprint planning done? And you can give them Tuesdays or Thursdays, most likely in most teams, because Monday is considered to be a day where a lot of people are recovering from the weekend. They don't show up to work, or they are like, I want to work from home. It's not really a good day where you have everyone. That's a proven fact for most organizations. And Friday too is one of the days where everyone is so ready to get home. Nobody has time to focus 100% and produce at full capacity on Friday. So people are looking forward to their maybe weekend vacations or getaways and all of that. So the best days for this event is Tuesdays or Thursday. Now, let's get into the sprint planning. So the sprint, right? Each Scrum project is a set of sprints. Sprint is a container for the 4 other events as presented in the diagram above. So yeah, like I said, it's like a pregnant woman. Have it in the back of your mind that the sprint is like a pregnant woman who has 4 babies in her, right? Or it's your plate of food that has 4 pieces of meat on it or chicken on it. Development effort and maintenance of the product backlog. Now, the first event that happens within the sprint is the sprint planning, right? And the sprint planning, let's get down here and talk about, this is the sprint right here. So you have sprint 1, you have sprint 2, you have sprint 3. So sprint 1, we can meet for sprint 1. Sprint 1, we can just meet to talk about the project, what we are going to be putting together. What we're going to be putting together to work on that project to deliver and all of that. Let me give a simple example. Sprint 1, we can use sprint 1 to put the foundation of the house. In sprint 1, we are putting the foundation of the house, or we are doing requirement gathering and all of that. And sprint 2, in sprint 2, we say, okay, we are erecting the building. In sprint 3, we say, now we are putting the roof. In sprint 4, we are putting the doors and windows. In sprint 5, so I'm just giving this example. I'm just painting this scenario for you to understand it. That's the best way I can put it for you to understand it. So that's what happens during a sprint. So you can have sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3. How long are sprints? 2 weeks. Sprints are 2 weeks. I think I should find it somewhere here. I was supposed to highlight it and save it. Yeah, but basically sprints are 2 weeks long, 2 to 4 weeks long. And I want to talk about the sprint planning. Okay, the sprint time box. Most companies use sprint time box of 2 to 4 weeks, just like I said right there, 2 to 4 weeks. If we use time boxes longer than 1 calendar month for sprints, it will be likely for the unapplied changes to become large enough to create problems. This will increase the complexity and risks. Exactly. That's why they don't make it too long. And that is why I was hoping somebody will ask me from our previous class, like, okay, now that we've taken 2 weeks away, is it not going to affect our already started spring, right? But anyways, when we get here next week, for those of you who are interested to join, it's just $100 for the ongoing project, and we will walk you through. We've not done anything in that project. Just one person on that project has been able to done their assigned work that was given to them, their assigned issue. Just one person. So we are all going to get into it in details beginning next week because we've all been so busy and all of that. But then again, just like this says that this will increase the complexity and risk. That's why I cut it off. When we come back, I'm definitely gonna we're definitely gonna restart the sprint back and go from there. All right, so can a sprint be canceled? Yes, a sprint can be canceled. That's why I did not want to tell you, or I know CV is on that group. I know Danny, I'm sure Danny too is on that group. Yes, she is. Now they are hearing from me. They are the first 2 people from that group hearing from me that sprint that we started, I'm canceling it because I'm the product owner. Okay, so yes, the sprint can be canceled. And the product owner is the only one that has the authority to cancel the sprint. You cannot cancel the sprint as a Scrum Master. You're not the one who put up those items for it to be worked. So whenever a sprint is canceled, a refinement session is done, right? I'm going to put that information in the group that we have, like a refinement session on Monday. We're refining all the items again, and we are starting a new sprint. Now, CV and Danny has heard a little about the project that we are working on because they are on that project.
I was the one who put mine and done.
What did you say? Yours is done, I know.
That's it.
Yours is done. You were smart to done yours. All right, so can a sprint be canceled? Yes. If they ask you in an interview, do not say no, say yes. There was a time when your product owner canceled a sprint because the items did not meet the definition of done. So the sprint was canceled, or it was too ambiguous and nobody was understanding it. Let me read what is written here about the sprint cancellation. Even though each sprint is frozen and does not change, the product owner has the authority to cancel a sprint. This can happen when sprint goal becomes obsolete. Yep. When we've started working and somebody is like, I don't understand anymore, and people are dragging, we have missed time, missed sessions, and all of that. Due to changes in the product backlog, exactly. Sometimes due to changes in the product backlog, strategies, approach, and all of that. When a sprint is canceled, the items are done. The items that are done, listen, Danny, this is for you. When a sprint is canceled, the items that are done will be reviewed and accepted, and the rest of the items not started or partly complete will be put back into the backlog. That's what I plan to do, considering that we have new members coming to join us. We'll carry all those items. So it's just one item that has been done and it was yours. So it's going to be good. It's good. It's done. It's good. We will all accept if it is good, right? I know your issue had its acceptance criteria on the bottom. So we will go over it and say, do you all want us to leave it there as done, or we want to bring it back into the backlog so that we can work on it again and done it in the future? Basically, that is it. They will ask you, they can ask you an interview question. Have you ever worked on a project where the sprint was canceled? Lie. You can say yes and you can say no. Anyways, depending on, yes, because we are canceling a project, right? So yes, we are canceling a project, and you will tell them why. The reason is because we had a lot of no-shows on the team, and the product, we were not going to meet our timeline. So the few products that were done, or the few items or issues or stories that were done, we we done them, and then whatever was not done, we brought them back into the backlog and plan to work on it on the future. No, I have so many reminders here for this one is my coaching for the next person coming up, alarm for the next person. All right, so the sprint planning is the first event that happens. It's usually fixed for 8 hours in a 1 month sprint. Now, that is very technical. Learn something. If it is 8 hours in a 1 month sprint, it means that it's going to be 4 hours in a 2-week sprint. Did you get that? Did you understand that? So the time has been divided. If it is 8 hours in a 1 month sprint, it is going to be 4 hours in a 2-week sprint. Now, somebody thinks that the sprint planning, you all just sit down there in the sprint planning and just spend all 8 hours all at once. No, it can be divided in that 2-week sprint. You can use 2 hours this week and 2 hours next week for sprint planning. And then if it is a 1 month sprint, you can split it across 2 hours each week where you people meet. It's our sprint planning session. The sprint planning session, you're basically talking about the work that has been done, who is doing what, committed to what, and you're planning stuff, you're refining stuff, and you're moving some ahead and leaving some where they are and taking some forward, and just all of that, the good stuff that happens during sprint.
Excuse me, Coach.
Yes.
Are you saying that for a 2-week sprint is going to be 4 hours? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, 2 weeks planning is gonna be 4 hours. For a month sprint, yeah, for a 1 month sprint, it is 8 hours.
Oh, got you. So they can split it like 2 hours each week.
Yeah, it
2 hours
depends.
each
It
week,
depends
2
on your
hours.
team. Some team can even do more than 2 hours. Some team can say our sprint planning is gonna be 3 hours this week. Next week, 1 hour. Just make sure that you stay within the total of 8 hours if it is a month sprint. And if it is a 2-week sprint, make sure that you stay within the 4 hours.
And during the sprint and planning, the product owner gathers the requirement and they present it to the Scrum Masters and the development team, and they work on it. Right?
Exactly. So yes, that's what the sprint planning is basically for. It's for the team to look at all the work that they are going to be working on. We are planning on the team. We are checking the sizes of the stories. We are estimating. We are checking our team capacity. When we started the project that we started, we checked our team capacity, and every work that was calculated was based on that team capacity of 10. We are available 10 of us on that team. So now,
so my question is this: when you talk about capacity, because I've heard this before in my previous Scrum class, when you talk about capacity and velocity, is there much difference between both of them, or there's a lot of difference between both of them?
Of course, there's a difference between the two. So your capacity is the work. What are we able to do? Who is available to do what? That is our capacity. For example, here right now, our capacity is 7. I don't know if you understand. We are 7 of us.
Gotcha.
Now, the velocity is the work that we are going to work on. Right?
Okay.
The load, the effort.
But in a way, they kind of in a way, in the real world, there's a lot of similarity between both, though, in a way.
No,
what do you think?
There's no similarity.
Okay.
Yeah, because your velocity is different completely. Your velocity is the workload, right? And then your capacity is who is available to do that work.
Oh, okay, got you. Now I
Let me put
understand
it
that.
like
Thank
that.
you. Oh,
So
thank you.
it's
Gotcha.
basically let me see. There is this one that I'm not creating any document. There is this definition of team velocity and capacity that I really like. That is so easy. I'm gonna share it with you. Let's see. Okay, I'll share that screen with you. Stop sharing that screen and then share this other screen. I have 3 screens here, so I'm sharing the third screen. Okay, so I'm just gonna do velocity. Where's capacity? That is it. Come on. So, not you guys though. Like I said, velocity is capacity is how many of us are. Let me use images. Images work better for me. We even watched, I think we watched, okay, perfect. This one is a good one. All right, so right here, you can see the difference right here. Velocity refers to the average number of story points completed by your agile team over a single sprint, while capacity measures the amount of time in hours that team members can dedicate to a project per sprint. This example is a little bit technical, but if you were looking at it in a mere way to understand it, who is available to do what for capacity? What is our capacity? We are 10 of us. Okay. Now we have to divide that. Let's say we story pointed everything, like we did our estimation, and the estimation should be, let's say 20. We have story points 20. Now we have to divide that 20 by 10. Meaning that every person should be able to commit to 2 at least. Let me put it like that. And I'm definitely going to share a few information about that for you to understand a couple of them. Maybe one, you will pick one and you understand it better in the group.
Yeah, I think
I believe
from your
we watched some videos for that before we did our velocity, because we had people who were confused as well. The two, this is mathematics. I don't want that mathematics in my head. So see here, velocity, capacity, total number of hours available for the team. It's calculated, right? There's a lot that happens depending. One thing you have to keep in mind is the way your team will do velocity and capacity is different from the way another team does it. Scrum is practiced differently in different teams based on what they need, their needs, right? So a team can just focus on highest priority. That's how they go about their capacity. And then for their velocity, they can focus on each task is estimated, right? Whereas another team will have to do all of what you are seeing here. They'll do the total number of hours, they'll do highest priority, each task is estimated, capacity is left, and all of that. Another team will just pick one and they focus on it and they do it. Whatever works best for your team, that is what you want to focus on doing. But we are not going to do capacity here. We're just going to teach Scrum. And then when you join that project, I'm definitely going to explain capacity better to you, and you will understand it when we do the estimation.
That sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. You understand it better when you see us, when you see it there, you see it on the diagram. And we are doing the estimation. I'm showing you that now, look, that's the estimation. The number is adding up. You're seeing the estimation, and then you're also seeing our team capacity and all of that. That will be more helpful to you. Oh, what screen is that? Into okay, so back to this. So the sprint planning, the product owner will put items on the product backlog, and we'll put items on the product backlog, and then the entire team will deliberate on it or talk on it, do their estimation, check their team capacity, who is available, who is not going to be available. I can say, oh, well, on the 15th, I'm not going to be available. 15th to the 20th, I'm not going to be available because I have a wedding to attend out of the country. So the team have to keep that in mind, that one person is not going to be available for this length of time. And then they plan accordingly on who is going to cover them and who is going to work with them, or how their own workload is going to be distributed among themselves, or how that person is going to be able to deliver, right? That is basically what happens during sprint planning. We are seeing who is available to do what and what is the work that we are going to be doing. Right, so basically that is it. And the time box period for it is 8 hours for a 1 month sprint and 4 hours for a 2-week sprint. So if you do the math, you get the point. Now, a single product backlog item story. So this is best when you're on that project, but I'm going to show you. You have the story title. We all have that. I know Danny and CV, they know that. Story title, for example, Danny's story title was to define being. That was your story title. And the ID number, it has it there, Scrum number, there was a number there attached to it. The estimate, we gave it an estimate of, I believe we estimated it to be 2 or 3 or something. And then for the importance, we did not do, we did not do that high priority importance and all of that. Some companies, some teams will do that, other teams will not. And then the demo, you prepare what you're going to be, what payment gateway is all about, right? And then under that payment gateway, you can break it into tasks if you need to do that. Maybe for payment gateway to be done, you have ID number 801. All 4 of these has to be done for that payment gateway to be completed. So this basically is kind of a plan for developing the item right here. That's what I did with you all, where we did Danny can testify and CV, where we did, when you put your title, under your title you write what you're going to be doing, right? And then after that you explain it a little bit. And then after that, you put your acceptance criteria for that story point, or for that story, or that item, or that, yeah, that story. It's a story, it's an item, it's an issue. And then this is like a product backlog, right? For those who are on that project, you will see what I'm saying. You have the sprint goal. We have our sprint goal written. Remember, Danny and CV, we have our sprint goal written at the top. Ours is not by the side like this, but ours is at the top. And then we have to do, we have item number 1 has been broken down, just like you see it up here, has been broken down into sub little items here. That's why you see item number 1, you have 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Item number 2 has been broken, meaning that it's like an epic. An epic is a very big story that is broken down into little bits so that it's worked on easily by the team. So they have broken this all down. You see doing and then done. That's how our Jira boards looks, right? So during the sprint planning, that's what they are doing. They are planning on this. The product owner has put all of this here. That's the work that they have to commit on, and they have to work on it. If you look at this second diagram, you will see that things were moved the first item has been done. The second item only has 1 under to do, and doing 2, and then 4 has been done already. They move things like that. As a Scrum Master, you want to keep your eye on that board and make sure things are moving, things are being done the way it's supposed to be the way it's supposed to be done. And then you also need to ask a lot of questions. If you see that one developer who has assigned maybe item number 3 to them, they are not working on it for 3 days, nothing. You meet during the sprint daily stand-up, and you're not hearing them say anything about what they are doing. You have to schedule a one-on-one session with them as a Scrum Master and find out what is going on. Say, hey, James, whatever or his name is. Hey, James, I'm just reaching out to you because I've seen that it's been a couple of days and nothing has been moved by you. Do you need help with anything? You want to be very polite. You want to make sure that you are that servant leader. That's basically what you're doing. You're just making sure people are doing things. Do you need help? And then James can tell you, oh, well, this story is not an independent story. It's dependent upon item number 2. Until 2 is done, then I can start working. I'm waiting for Ben to be done. Once Ben is done with 2, then I can begin. And then you'll be like, oh, okay. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, I need help. There are some of my codes that I'm putting in and it's not working. And then you can ask, oh, do you want me to tell Peter to join you or Paul to join you to work on this, and they can go, sure, why not? And then you reach out to Peter. Hey, Peter, I think James needs help with item number maybe 3.2 or 3.3. Do you mind joining him to work on that? And then they'll say yes, or they'll say no, whatever the case may be. And you go back, pap, 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 hey, James, Peter has agreed to join you to work on that. So connect with him and let's move stuff. Right? So that's basically what you're doing on the Scrum team. You're watching, making sure things are being done. You're not doing what we are doing. Now I'm getting your hands into it because we only have one technical person in our development team. We are just assuming all the roles in that project, getting our hands, let me say, dirty. We are all working hands on. The only person we have there that is technical is the website developer. So I'm a project manager. I have that project management skill. Mina has project management skill. Ngozi has business analyst skill. So we are just a role that we are just trying to see how we can all learn and grow from there and do things from there. So now we have the daily stand-up. That is a Scrum event that happens every day, just like the name says it, daily stand-up, right? It happens every day, and the time box event for that daily stand-up is 15 minutes. One thing that I omitted in the planning session is who can attend the sprint planning. The product owner, Scrum Master, development team members, shareholders, and sometimes the customers can also attend that sprint planning session. Why are they needed to attend this sprint planning session? For example, the shareholder or the customers, to be able to give specifications when needed or answer questions. For example, there was a story point. Let's say this story point is, I've had a lot of you ask me questions for some of the story points because I was the product owner. Like, oh, what does this mean? Design website, what does this entail? Okay, define being, what does it mean? And then I'm explaining it to you so that you understand. So sometimes they are available because this work came from them or this project came from them. And what is payment gateway? They start explaining to you what it is. As a customer, I would like to log into your account and be able to understand what BIN stands for, and so that I can be able to use it better and all of that. You or Danny and CV knows that that's how we define or explain our story points and then put our acceptance criteria there. That's basically what you're doing. I omitted that, so I wanted to make sure the people who are available on that sprint planning day for the sprint planning. And then we have the daily Scrum every day, 15 minutes. It is not mandatory for the Scrum Master to attend the daily stand-up. It is not mandatory for the product owner. The daily stand-up is solely mandatory for the development team. But it is beneficial to you, the Scrum Master, to be there and help them run it. That way you know who is doing what. Take advantage of it and use it. No be must. It's not a must. Sorry, I'm using pidgin English. It's not a must that you should be there. You should be available there to run it for them so that you get to know. You know your development team members, who is working well, who is not working well, because as they talk, you will hear from them who is doing well. You will also meet your data analyst saying, oh, I'm working on this today, or I did this yesterday and I have this impediment. You're taking note of the impediments, right? Sometimes when they have impediments, they'll come to you and say it. Other times you will hear the impediments as they talk, right? Somebody can talk of, my internet was very slow yesterday, and that's an impediment. You start researching. After the meeting, daily stand-up, you reach out to them. Hey, Samson, you talked about your internet being slow yesterday while you were working. Is there anything that you think that can be done to improve that for today so that we deliver on time? That's basically what you're doing. That's why I say Scrum Master. You can see somebody shopping in Walmart, but they are working from their phone as a Scrum Master. You're just basically making sure that your eye is on the team, because your team is going to be needing you a lot. They will need you. Hey, Scrum Master, I'm not able to do this. Can you reach to this person and tell them this and all of that? That's why you're there. That's why you're a coach. That's why you are a servant. You're serving the team. You're like this servant in a restaurant where a waiter, where you say, oh, I'm your waiter for tonight, or I'm gonna be taking care of you guys tonight. And you want water, you call, I need water. Maybe your child spilled juice on the table. Oh, I need tissue to clean this and all of that. That's basically what you are gonna be doing on that team. You're not doing things that are technical, trust me. You're just there to guide them to make sure they are following Scrum and practicing the Scrum or agile. So the meeting is for them to answer 3 questions. What has been accomplished since last meeting? That was yesterday. What will be done? What is going to be done before the next meeting, before we meet tomorrow? What are you going to do today? And do you have any obstacles, any impediments that we should know? Right? So we can work on them and move forward. Basically, that is it for daily stand-up. It happens every day. As a Scrum Master, you want to make good use of that environment. Always attend your daily stand-up. Take advantage of it. It's not a must for you. And if you're not going to be attending, let your team know that you will not be there. If you're going to be attending, let them know that you will be there. Okay? It's not mandatory for you, but it's mandatory for them. They should. Sometimes it's good for you to be there too, so that you make sure that they are actually doing it. All right, so the sprint goal is right here, and you can see their burn down chart is really burning down. They're walking. We'll see this chart again a little bit down when we get to that. When we get to the sprint review down there at the bottom. So you see the sprint goal is still there. Work is moving. Now we go to the sprint review. Is the 3rd event that happens within the sprint. And this is 4 hours event for a 1-month sprint. If the sprint is gonna be two weeks, for a 2-week sprint is going to be 2 hours. Okay, do the math. I think you can. For a 1-month sprint is 4 hours allocated for that sprint review. The sprint review is when the Scrum team meets to review the work, to do a demo. Let's say you were making an app. Okay, we are building, let's say you were making an app or you're making a robot to be able to sweep the floor, robot to clean the floor. When you meet during that meeting, that sprint review, those who are attending it would be the product owners, shareholders, and development team, Scrum Master, and sometimes the customers, right? You meet in that sprint review to look at the work that has been done, if it has met the definition of done. Let's look at what has been done. And then they put this robot on the floor. They are touching the remote, and it's moving, it's walking, it's going to the left, and out of the blue, it just starts moving backward. The stakeholder is going to be like, this robot, what's going on? That was a demo, what's going on? Questions will come up, and then they will take, the developers will take the information that comes out of this sprint review session for that product that they were working on, and go back and do more and make it work better for the next sprint again, for the next review session again. They come, once it meets the definition of done, then they can done it. Once the customer says, oh, it has met the definition of done, then they can done it. Once the shareholder says it has met the definition of done, they can done it. In a case where you don't have a shareholder customer to attend, the product owner can step in and say, yes, it has met the definition of done. The increase and increment has been born. So you go from there.
I have a question, please.
Sure.
So the sprint planning is 2 weeks or 1 month, right? It depends. Hello?
You said the sprint planning is 2 weeks or 1 month?
Yeah, from what I heard, is that how it is when you planning it?
No. The sprint planning is not 2 weeks to 1 month. It's for 8 hours.
It's for 8. Sorry, mistake. I made a mistake. I mean, it's for 8 hours, but it can be spread to, you can do 4 hours every 2 weeks and 4 hours the next 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
So that, I mean, you can break it down into 2 pieces, like.
All right. So for example, let's say, just as it says there, 8 hours for a 1 month sprint. In a month, how many weeks do we have? 4 weeks.
We have 4 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you spread that 8 hours across the 4 weeks, divide 8 by 4.
That is 2 hours for each week.
Exactly. So that's what I was saying. So in a
Okay.
2-week sprint, let your team be using 4 hours, meaning 2 hours for sprint 1 and 2 hours for sprint 2. But if your
Okay.
sprint is a 4 month, is a 1 month sprint, make sure they are using all the 8 hours.
All
Now,
8 hours.
yeah.
Okay.
Now for the review, because we are doing the sprint review now, for the sprint review, 4 hours has been allocated for that sprint review for a 1 month sprint. In a month, we have 4 weeks. Now, divide 4 hours by 4. So each week is 1 hour. You spend 1 hour to do sprint review.
Okay, got you.
So
I just don't have to clarify that.
on week 1, you use 1 hour. It's our sprint review at this time, right? Let's say sprint reviews are mostly done maybe Thursdays or Tuesdays, like I said.
Okay.
You said on Tuesday, 1 hour is our sprint review meeting. That's why you will hear developers telling you, when my husband is a developer, DevOps engineer, right? He was always saying, I'm in a meeting before I ever got into Scrum. He would always say, I'm in a meeting. I'm in a meeting. I'm like, the whole day you're in a meeting, until I got into Scrum and I understood, because you're coming out of sprint, you're coming out of a 1 hour sprint review session. Meanwhile, you've been in another 1 hour planning session, right? And then when you finish with that meeting, maybe a Scrum Master wants you to meet with them to talk about something. Then DevOps, they also have some of their own meetings that will be happening in the background that you're not aware of it. You're just there to make sure that they are doing Scrum, right? So they are practicing Scrum. So for the hours, just use math to divide it. Say, for example, 4 hours for a 1 month sprint. In a month, we have 4 weeks. So if our sprint is just 2 hours, it's just 2 weeks. So divide 4 by 2. We should be putting in 2 hours for a 2-week sprint. So the sprint review is they just do the demo of the product. If it meets the definition of done, then they can done it. The sprint review is just a time place. An interview question that they once asked me, they said, you're working on a project and at the end of the day, one of the stakeholders comes to reject the product after you guys have done it. What will you do? I said, I'll invite them for the sprint review. A sprint review is the best place for them to come and tell us, to come and see the product demo, so that before we done it, let us hear his own opinion on the product before we done it. So the best event would be to invite them to come to the sprint review while the product is being demoed. They watch it, and if they have questions about the functionality of it, they can go ahead and make these questions, or if they want to change anything, they should change it during the sprint review where the item has not yet been done, so that we take it back to the backlog and refine it and prepare to work on it again. Now, let's talk about the last Scrum event, and then we'll call it for today. Tomorrow when we come, we'll talk about the Scrum artifacts and then get into the Scrum guides. So the last Scrum event that happens is the retrospective, and the retrospective is 3 hours for a 1 month sprint. Now, these 3 hours, if it is a 2 week sprint, then it's going to be 1.5 hours. To break it, divide it, just do simple math when it comes to these hours, right? And then the members for this is only the developers, Scrum Master, the development team, Scrum Master, and the product owner. We do not want to see the shareholder here in this event. This event retrospective is not for them. They are retrospective. They are retrospecting what they have done right, and they are answering 3 questions: what they did right and what they did not do right for that sprint, and how they will do better. They plan that, and it's only for those who work on that project. So the shareholder and the customer are not allowed for this event. It is just us who work on that project that are allowed to be in that sprint retrospective. We want to see what we did right, what we did not do right. For example, all my projects, whenever we've done our retrospective, we've answered that question: what did we do right? You hear somebody will say, oh, well, time management. We came late, we were always late. or this person was talking over this person, or this or that. So basically that is it for our Scrum roles. And then you also have product backlog grooming. That is basically called product backlog refinement. Some teams will call it refinement. It's just kind of like going into the product backlog and making sure, revising, reviewing the items and making sure, updating them, making sure that it's going to be worked on by the team. So the product owner is responsible for ordering, prioritizing the items, and the development team is responsible for estimating those items, right? So the product owner orders this item, the development team estimates it because they are the ones working on it. And that is why Danny and CV can testify that is why whenever we had our estimation session, all the stories that were assigned to people who were not there, we did not estimate it because, like I told you all, I said, we cannot estimate your work for you. What if we say it's a 2 and you come and tell us, no, that it requires a lot of effort for me to complete that work. I want it to be a 5 and we had given it a 2. So you have to be there. So it's the development team that estimate the work that they are going to work on based on their effort. What am I going to do for this work? Now, Slack is one of the good things about Scrum. Some teams practice it, some teams do not practice it. Slack is just a time when, let's say our sprint ended yesterday. Let's say our sprint is going to end on Thursday. We can take a Slack on Friday, meaning that no work for us, our team, we are breathing so that we can come on Tuesday and start a new sprint, right? So that Slack, we can either do recreation, you can do reading, you can take a course, you can do something within for yourself to improve yourself, basically for that. That's what it's called, Slack. It's just a time when the team can relax after its sprint has ended. Then you have maybe an extra day or so to relax yourself as teams. And you make sure you don't want to make it in a way where your company will think that you're wasting money. So most teams will always say they are using it to what's the word? I think to study. There's a word for it for let's see. No, it cannot be up there. There's a word for it to study. Okay, reading articles, taking part in courses. Yes, workshops. Perfect. I've always heard my husband saying they talk about workshops. So most of the teams will talk about, when he was talking about it, I was just looking until I joined and I understood. Workshops, that's what it falls under, so that your company doesn't think that you're wasting time and their money. So you're doing workshop and you can do creative projects. Today you can log in. You actually have to log into work, but you all log in, but your team, you know that it's a Slack. Everybody is doing whatever it is that they are doing and relaxing. All right, so we'll call it a day for today. I've been talking since I woke up 6 a.m. today. I need to take a break from talking. My student my alarm was reminding me for her one-on-one session, my mentee. She just canceled for today, which works good for me. Because I've been talking. I had to pause before go and do her session, but she just called to cancel. So thank you all for being here today. See you tomorrow. And I'm definitely going to share this material with us in the group. Bye.
Thank you so much. You have a good night. Bye.
Bye, guys.
If you have questions, ask them in the group and I'll answer them.
All right.
Okay, I have a question. I'll actually add it to the WhatsApp group.
Okay. All right.
Thank
See you
you.
guys later.
Bye.
Bye.